Item 1, apologies for absence, please, Mr Town Clerk.
We have apologies, Madam Mayor, from Councillors Ward, Smith and Squire.
Thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive disclosures of unregistered or other interests from councillors on matters to be considered at the meeting. So if you have an interest, you're to declare it now. Otherwise, please declare it as soon as you become aware of it. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a personal non-prejudicial interest in item 8.2, which is in the General Manager's report, and that's due to me being Chairman of the Sensory Garden.
Thank you very much. Councillor Smith.
Declare the same interest as a member of the Trust.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 3, minutes of the council meeting. To confirm the minutes of the meeting of Tavistock Town Council held on Tuesday the 30th of July, which are enclosed with your papers. First of all, can we confirm that they are a true record, please? Agreed. Thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you, that's carried. Yes, thank you. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any matters arising? No? No. Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on to public representations and questions. Do we have any questions, Mr Town Clerk?
None were submitted, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Items requiring a decision. 5. General Finance. Schedule of payments to consider and endorse the monthly accounts as at the 30th of June and the 31st of July. I know you had at least 2 sets of questions, but they hopefully have been answered satisfactorily. Yeah, okay.
I believe so.
Mine have certainly been answered satisfactorily.
Yeah, and so have mine, thank you. Can we endorse those payments then, please? Thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Then we move on to B, the budget monitoring report. To consider and endorse the phased budget monitoring report as at the 31st July. I think there were a couple of questions about this which have been answered as well. Thank you. Right, can we endorse this, please? Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Move on now to item 6, Budget and Policy Committee. Deputy Mayor to present the minutes, please.
Right, this is going to be quite long. There's quite a bit to think of. Sorry, yes. This is going to be quite long because there's been a last meeting, a lot was discussed. So I rise to present the minutes of the 3rd of September, just 139, 140, 141 and then 142, which is about financial planning and resilience, and I think I'll hand this one over to the Town Clerk to explain what this was about.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Yes, the committee considered whether or not it would be appropriate, following on from the conversation that took place at the financial training session, for the Council to develop a medium-term financial strategy. There was a discussion around the benefits and the drawbacks associated with it. The consensus was, as set out in the recommendation, that it would be appropriate for the Council to do so, linking that strategy very much to your organisational goals and priorities, linking it into the budget setting process, and recognising that for that to be effective there would need to be a discipline around ensuring that in future spend was aligned to organisational goals and priorities previously agreed rather than occurring on an incremental basis.
Thank you.
Okay, so after that it was recommended the following. A medium-term financial strategy be developed alongside and for consideration with the 2020-21 Tavistock Town Council budget and informed by the Council's strategic plans, and to facilitate the same. B, no new significant spend be incurred committed on projects not already agreed and funded within the budget or service planning process prior to the completion of the draft medium-term financial strategy and adoption of the 2021 budget in December or January.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation there. Can move it. Thank you. We have a second. Of those in favour, please show. Well, you could do, but yeah. Did you want one, Councillor Ewing?
All I was going to say is about, how important this actually is for the council going forward, and that it will help with budget planning for many years to come, because we will be able to see going forward what we have, what we don't have, how much of a grape we have to peel, and things like that. And, you know, I was going to welcome this and say that, you know, the council, this is a huge leap forward for us with how we do our budgeting and financial strategies. That was all, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question, please?
Not,
Does this project that we're about to set in concrete include making us carbon neutral?
There's an item later on the agenda.
there's an item later on the agenda in connection with that. Thank you. So we've got a recommendation. Those in favour, please show.
That's
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, 143, Council Tax Support Grant. This basically is the fact that Devon Council are going to reduce the grant they give us by 4.2% in the next year. This is money that they have had from the government, which has been withdrawn, and they have decided, I'm being told something here, West Devon, sorry. We have basically got a recommendation that we're going to say how disappointed we are, because this is something we obviously is 4.3%, that we're going to have to then think about how we get that money back, or we have to cut services, which we don't want to do. So the recommendation is that the council will express its concern and disappointment to West Devon Borough Council at the adverse impact of the proposed withdrawal of the council tax support grant on public services within the borough, and Tavistock in particular, and associated increased costs to the taxpayer, and B, in the event that the withdrawal does occur, continuing the existing policy regarding the replacement of lost council tax support grants. And want to talk about it, Councillor Moody?
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to express an interest at being a West Devon Borough Councillor on this issue. I should have mentioned that earlier.
Thank you. And Councillor Mrs Ewing. Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? So we have a recommendation there. Move. Those in favour, please show.
That's carried.
Thank you.
144, Schedule of Payments. This was recommended that the Council agenda continue to have an item relating to the Schedule of Payments and listing those payments arising in the prior accounting period. The schedule itself to be posted on the Council website for inspection rather than circulated with the agenda. This was because several people have commented that we have large pages of figures that actually do we need to all get them, but they're available to everybody on the Council website.
Thank you. Councillor Parker.
Just an observation, Madam Mayor, that one of those people who said that we didn't need to have these in front of us at the meeting was our accountant when he briefed us the other week.
Thank you. Right, so we have a recommendation. Those in favour, please show. Thank you.
145, the Capital Programme. 146, Sustainability and Environment. We had obviously saw the report from the Town Clerk, and the Business and Policy Committee had a very big, wide range of discussion about it, and we have some recommendations. Recommended that in accordance with the requirements of minute number 94, a Sustainability and Environment Working Group reporting via the Budget and Policy Committee be established, comprising up to 4 members drawn from across the membership of the Council, plus Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Budget and Policy Committee, ex officio voting, tasked on the sequential basis set out on the report with A. Undertaking a review to identify and evaluate the best practice as regards the potential for town parish councils to promote sustainability and environmental initiatives, including with regard to climate change. B. On completion of A above, 1. To review and assess those projects put forward through voting at the policy workshop, and 2. Together with any others which have been identified. C. Then developing a draft sustainability and environmental action plan for consideration and subsequent assessment against funding via the strategic plan and medium-term financial strategy. And D. Identifying and supporting the members who will lead researching and developing proposals in this area, and also providing the nominee from which the Town Council representation WDPC climate change meetings would be drawn if we were invited. So that's the first set of recommendations. Shall I go on to the second?
Well,
Then we can have a discussion on everything.
Let's do the first.
I think we'll take them separately. We'll
Okay.
take this lot first. So we've got the recommendations there. Councillor Smith, did you wish to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to say I really welcome the minutes. I welcome the discussion we had, budget and policy it was, but in particular I welcome the report we received. It was thorough. It covered most aspects that we as members wished it to, and it allowed us to make clear-cut decisions which are contained within both recommendations, and I hope that the Council will support these tonight.
Thank you very much. Councillor Parker?
Thank you. I'd like to endorse what Councillor Smith has just said. I'd read the report before the Budget and Policy Committee. I was there at the committee. I was impressed by the level of debate, by the questions and answers. The only thing, and I've mentioned this to the Town Clerk, is I do have some feeling about being compared with Derek Hatton, coming from Liverpool. I think that was unnecessary, but the report is good. It answers most of the questions that were raised at the last council meeting and sets out a good agenda for the future. I will also be voting in favour of this minute.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Ewing?
The report was very welcome and hopefully enabled all members to actually read over a side of things. I think he's got it in Roman numerals, the 16 things that this town council already does towards climate change, environment, biodiversity, that we do on a day-to-day basis. We've already passed earlier in this meeting that we can't afford to put new monies towards anything, but actually we have a lot of money going into, as we say, on a day-to-day cost code basis, into issues for the town. If lights need changing, we go to LED. If we can grow around the trees and the meadows through the Blue Heart initiative that Councillor Mann brought forward to us all, we've done it. We're doing many different things, and I really hope that the members who weren't on the Budget and Policy Committee have actually read this report that shows those 16 items that this council already does, and that we can look into doing more. But as we said, we cannot at this moment in time afford to spend any money. But actually, what we can afford to do within this recommendation is we can work with other councils. I attended some training on overview and scrutiny last Friday, and every council was talking about climate change with their emerging action plans and everything. Well, I'm afraid to say I'm all one for plagiarism. If somebody else is, don't reinvent the wheel, as they would say. East Devon have started, Torbay have started, Teignmouth. All these councils have started. They are then working together with Devon County to be able to bring these things forward without costing smaller authorities a lot of money. Because none of us as councils, I don't think in the whole country from what we've been hearing, has got any money to spare. But there are simple things that can be implemented, people encouraged to do, that actually will address some of the concerns. They won't be immediate. Electric cars, we can't all afford those at the moment, because at the moment they're out of the average person's price range. But if we can do other smaller, simpler things, then it will make a difference to our climate. And most of all, it may not make a great big difference in the global thing, but it will inside yourself. I'm always getting moaned at because I go on and on about recycling and all the rest of it, and it all has to be perfect. And where I live, I encourage others to do the same and things like that. So actually, inside you, you know you've made a difference. And the councillors who brought this to us at first, when it first came up a few months ago, they will now know that they've made a difference with this council going forward. It might not have been as quickly as they would have liked it, but actually the method going forward is probably better than what they would have had if theirs had gone through the first time as it was, because it could have possibly been refused altogether. So actually this way it takes the council forward and can help us be a leader within our community, working with the other groups we have in town, Transition Tavistock, Sensory Gardens. We have so many different groups of biodiversity, climate, whatever, and we need to just sign up and work with all of them. The Town Council Works Depot already do. They already work with many other groups in this town, and that is important, and we need to keep those relationships going. But actually, fundamentally, some of this comes down to each and every one of us individually, that we can just do our bit to support. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Crawford, please.
Thank you. I'd just like to endorse everything that Councillor Ewing's just said. I just wanted to make a point, really. The Blue campaign, actually, was initiated by Tavistock Community Gardening. So I just want to make sure that the credit goes where it is due. But, yeah, and I'd like to commend the Town Clerk for an excellent report, actually, as I think I did last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Fay?
Yes, we're a month away from our biggest
Could you
revenue.
stand, please?
Sorry, we're a month away from our biggest revenue in the year at the Goosey Fair. Are we at a position where, when we have something like about 30 food hawkers, of ensuring that they have biodegradable products to serve their food in, and we accommodate with bins to actually go that way? So rather than having polystyrene containers for chips and plastic knives and forks, bamboo and palm leaves are a perfectly good equivalent and actually not more expensive.
Thank you. Can I refer that to the General Manager, who's all things on Goose Fair?
Yeah, that's something we'll take forward and discuss with the individual traders.
Thank you. Councillor Mann?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to add to that, we had the South West Water did a free water refill station for us at EcoFest, which would be lovely to have during Goose Fair to encourage people not to buy bottles of water necessarily, and allow that, and they did that without charging us for the water, so it would be worth looking into as a possibility. I also just wanted to say thank you to Councillor Crawford for having originally included me and asking me to second the motion, because I think this is what we were trying to achieve. And I think I really wanted to thank the Council for taking the time and the effort for putting together a really well thought out plan and sort of making it happen. So I wanted to just say thank you for everyone else as well. And I was also going to correct the thing on the Blue campaign, because actually Councillor Crawford had really spearheaded that. I just brought the leaflets.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Crawford, you've already spoken.
Just to make one very small point. Sorry, it was just a reminder of Councillor Fay's point for Goosey Fair. But it was just reminded me that when we had the street food festivals, there were no containers for recycling any of the food receptacles, anything really. There were waste bins, but there weren't any recycling containers, which was just a point worth thinking about.
Thank you.
We'll pass that feedback on to the hirer of Bedford Square.
Thank you. Right, so we have a recommendation here. I think Councillor Moody?
Do we have any indication when the 4 members will be put forward?
Well, once we've agreed the recommendation, and then I will ask for nominations for people. Thank you. Right, so can we vote on the recommendation first, please? Those in favour, please show. That's carried. Thank you. Right, now we go back and we have to appoint 4 people to make up this Sustainability and Environment Working Group. So do we have any nominations, please? Right. Well, you'll be on it anyway, won't you, as chairman?
Oh, I've been not nominating myself. I was going to nominate somebody else. Sorry.
Oh, right. Thank you. Who would like to be on it, please? Just show. Right. We'll have to have a ballot then, I think. We've got Councillor Ellis, Councillor Mann, Councillor Fay, Councillor Crawford, Councillor Ginny Parker. Mrs Ewings? No?
I was going to nominate.
Oh, right, sorry.
Sorry, can I just check? I've got Councillor Mrs Parker, Councillor Ms Crawford, Ellis, Mann and Fay. Mrs Mann and Fay. Have I missed anyone? No, good.
So we've got
Thank
1,
you.
2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to vote for 4, up to 4. Thank you. Pardon? Thank you. In no particular order, The people who've been appointed to form this working group are Councillor Mrs Parker, Councillor Crawford, Councillor Ellis and Councillor Mann. So thank you, and thank you Councillor Fay for putting your name forward. That's great. Okay, so that group will need to work out when they are going to meet, and the town clerk will liaise with them. Okay, Deputy Mayor, please continue.
Let's continue. Well, after that vote and following a lot of period of discussion in the client meeting, we're now delighted to say that the business, policy business recommend that the Council declare a climate emergency on the basis set out in the report. If you remember, we didn't do this last time because there were quite a few worried about the financial implications. So we've now studied this at a better level, so I'm delighted to recommendation. I'd be happy to propose that.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Yu. Thank you. Open it up for debate. Councillor Smith.
It just rise to support the recommendation. It's clear that we should be declaring climate emergency in line with paragraph 3.5 in the report that came to Budget and Policy.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Parker.
Yes. I had a quick chat with the town clerk before the meeting. I'm a member of the Dalk County Large Councils Committee, and I've received the agenda today. And there is an item on the agenda that Dalk sign up to the Devon Declaration. Just letting you know that I will report the result of tonight's vote to Dalk, but I still haven't made my mind up whether strategically Dalk should be declaring the association with the county's decision, bearing in mind that there may well be parish councils and town councils that don't agree with it. So it's a difficult one when you're on a representative organisation. Just letting you know that I will report this decision to that committee on Monday.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation. Councillor Ellis.
Can I just say something?
Stand, please.
I mean, from the start, I've advocated that this council should do more for the environment, sustainability and biodiversity. And now we've got a working group, we can actually move forward and take some good actions. So that's outstanding. As you all know, I really don't like political statements in town council. And I believe that declaring a climate emergency is a political statement. I would prefer that we recognise the climate emergency. It means the same thing. But it's not a political statement, it's a statement of intent. West End Borough Council declared a climate emergency back in May, and it's that much of an emergency they're coming back with a report in December. And it's going to cost a lot of money, which I guess they've saved from shutting our toilets, I suppose. So, before I sit down, I just want to leave this council with 2 quotes. One from Extinction Rebellion, which is, to quote Extinction Rebellion's website, "Our house is on fire." So if we're declaring an emergency, we really do need to act. And the second one is to quote UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in regards to climate change. "This is an emergency, and for emergency situations, we need emergency action. So by declaring an emergency tonight, I expect emergency action. I will never talk against this council. I will never talk against the council's decisions. Other councillors will, I won't. But I will hold this council to account." So thank you, Mrs Mayor, for letting me say my piece.
Thank you. Councillor Miss Crawford.
Thank you. I think it's almost a question of semantics in some ways, and in some ways, so long as we do take action, I think that's the most important thing. So it doesn't necessarily bother me in that respect, about declaring a climate emergency. Having said that, every other council in the country that is working to this calls it a climate emergency. If ever there is a point where there is funding coming on stream for councils to have declared a climate emergency, if we haven't used that word, we won't be eligible for that sort of funding. So I think it's really important that we leave that word in so that we are working in tandem with all of the other councils around the country, of which there are an awful lot of parish councils, by the way, Councillor Parker.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I'm aware.
Did you want to come back? Very quickly.
Yeah, I fully, wholeheartedly believe there is a worldwide climate emergency. I just really don't believe in hollow statements. Of the over 200 councils that have declared a climate emergency, the majority have done very, very little. I would like to see more done.
Right, thank you. We have a Councillor Mann.
I was just going to use another quote since we're on to quotes now, but this is the one that I really believe in, and I think we actually are on the same side because you're trying to achieve the same thing, but we don't need a handful of people doing everything perfectly or jumping off a cliff on their own trying to save the world. We need a lot of people working in the same direction, doing small bits. So even if we do it imperfectly, the small steps we can make, for instance, that Councillor Fay suggested with moving some of our vendors on to greener options for waste, including refillable stations, perhaps even within the council. I think those small steps, combined with the small steps of all the parish councils in Devon and all of the borough councils, and then all of the councils, and then the whole government, I think that's how you make change. It's not always about taking big actions. It can be about making small changes and incremental changes.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Parker.
I'd like to support what Councillor Mann has just said. I think a term that used to be used a lot was mainstreaming. So you look at absolutely everything you do, from how you get to a meeting, to what you drink at that meeting, to what paper you use, what ink cartridges you use it for absolutely everything. So you don't just say you've got to stop flying. You look at everything that you do, and that goes to councils as well as individuals.
Yeah. Okay. Right, we've got a recommendation in front of us. We've had some debate. Can I move that we vote on it, please? Those in favour, please show.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Those against?
1 against.
Abstentions?
Is an abstention purely due to my abstention?
2 abstentions.
Right,
so
thank
do
you.
you wish your abstentions to be recorded in the minutes?
Yes, purely because of the word.
Okay, thank you. Right, so we've the working group's got a lot of work to do, so hopefully we'll hear progress soon. Right, Deputy Mayor, please.
Good. Let's carry on. 147. 148. Request for the grant of a benefit in connection with land. I think the town clerk can explain this one.
Yeah, I think that's really just reflecting for those members who are relatively new to the council the position in relation to when we receive a request for something like an application to surrender a lease for an easement, a way leave, those sorts of things. Hopefully it's self-explanatory in terms of the process that we adopt. In very short terms, it is about taking professional advice, acting on that professional advice, and recognising and respecting that on the one hand we have a duty to our electorate, and on the other hand we have a duty to the ratepayer and to achieve fair value in relation to whatever it is that we do.
Thank you.
149, review of Market Road, and then there are some other things to be discussed in part 2.
Thank you very much. Right, we now move on to item 7 on the agenda, Development Management and Licensing Committee. Councillor Mrs Mann, please.
I was just checking the date order of those meetings before I speak. Right, so the agenda for the 13th of August. 114, apologies for absence. 115, confirmation of minutes. 116, declarations of interest. 117, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 118, town planning issues. 119, general correspondence. 120, urgent business, brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. 121, planning decisions and applications. Do I need to read the recommendation that we passed, B?
Please.
So A, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council. B, new planning applications. The views of the committee that are attached to Appendix B recommended that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the Local Planning Authority for consideration. And 122, the next Development Management and Licensing Committee meeting.
Thank you. So can we have a seconder for those, please? Right, those in favour, please show.
Carried.
Thank you, that's carried.
And the notes from the meeting on Monday, the 2nd of September. This is the meeting, you'll be aware that we had Tom Jones, who was head of placemaking at West Devon Borough Council, come to. Number 130, apologies for absence. 131, confirmation of minutes. 132, declarations of interest. 133, Dartmoor National Park Authority. Is that a recommendation that's highlighted? Because it doesn't say... No? Okay.
No, can I speak at that point, please?
Yes.
Because we were hoping that somebody from the National Park would come and talk to us about their plan, and then it was suggested that perhaps they would be at the Southern Links Committee. Councillor Mrs Parker and I both made ourselves available for the Southern Links Committee, and then they changed the date. So means that nobody from the Town Council at the moment will be going to the Southern Links. I wonder if we could have a couple of volunteers perhaps to go. Councillor Mrs Ewing? Can you represent the Town Council, please? Anybody else wish to go? I did check with the clerk to the committee, and it is okay for other people to go. Okay, I think that's good enough. Thank you. Hopefully, there is an item on that agenda for Dartmoor National Park, and hopefully Joe Rumble will be there to discuss it. Thank you. Councillor Mrs Mann, please.
134, town planning issues. The first item is A, which is about the OSSR plan. Basically, this was about the meeting that work group had, and this was to basically saying that the Town Council is not going to be leading on the plan. It was recommended that under 1, the following discussions with West Devon Borough Council, it be advised that Tavistock Town Council would welcome the opportunity to contribute to an OSSR plan for the town led by West Devon Borough Council, and 2, that Tavistock Town Council stresses the importance of potential beneficiary groups being notified as and when appropriate of the availability of the funds, together with timescales for drawdown, and further request it be involved in and advised of the notifications. And 3, that should Tavistock Town Council decide to undertake the drafting of a neighbourhood development plan in due course, consideration be given to an OSSR plan or equivalent, forming a work strand of that neighbourhood development plan.
Okay, so we have a recommendation there. Anybody wish to comment on it? Ask any questions, debate? Right, I'll propose that we accept that recommendation. Those in favour, please show.
That is carried.
Thank you. Councillor Mann.
B, and that doesn't have a recommendation under it. C, BT, we considered a BT consultation on public payphone closures. And following that discussion with regard to the previous usage and location of the payphones identified, we made a recommendation, which is Tavistock Town Council support the closure of payphones at Monksmead and TV Road in view of the previous minimal usage. and Tavistock Town Council object to the closure of the payphone at Hazel Road due to the level of usage over the previous 12 months.
Thank you. Anybody wish to comment on that? I think one of the phones, I don't know whether it was at Monksmead or Tavy Road, hadn't actually been used at all in the previous 12 months. But the one at Monksmead, at Bishop's Mead, Hazel Road had been used 31 times, so it's quite a difference in usage. So we've got a recommendation. I'd like to propose that we accept it. Those in favour, please show. Thank you.
135, general correspondence. 136, urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. 137, planning decisions and applications. A, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council. And B, new planning applications to West Devon Borough Council. The views of the committee are attached to Appendix B. Recommended that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local plan authority for consideration.
Thank you. So those have been moved. We have a seconder, please. Councillor Ellis, thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you.
And 138, next Development Management and Licensing Committee meeting.
Okay. Thank you. So are we happy that those minutes are passed? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, we now move on to item 8, which are the service reports. To receive for information the following service reports. The first one tabled is from the General Manager's overview. Anybody have any questions for the General Manager? Councillor Ellis?
Just one Sunday I popped down to your antiques fair and I looked out to some of the stall holders, and I just wanted to pass on to you so you can pass on to everyone that works with you, that they're all commenting on how beautiful our town looks and how well looked after it is, and that's only a credit to yourself and your staff that work really hard around the town to make it look really good.
Yeah. Thank you. So, any other comments or questions on that? No, noted. Move on then to the works. Oh, sorry, Councillor Mrs. Parker.
Yes, I just wanted to ask on the. I know it comes up later, but the Bedford Square and the Miss Ivy events, the street food there. I had a lot of very positive feedback about that, but I just wondered whether, as the owner of the square, whether you thought, or the staff thought it was a successful event.
As the square's owned by Devon County Council, it's still classed as a highway. Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Wayne, General Manager, did you wish to comment?
I think any event which is bringing footfall to the centre of town is a benefit. It's a balancing act to make sure that you get the right amount of events and the right quality and type of events, so that no one organisation or no one brand of product is disadvantaged. So it's something that, from the Town Council's perspective, we are considering on an event-by-event basis on whether we think that those kind of events are, let's say, satisfactory to support the town centre. One of the things we are doing as well is regularly liaising with BID around the impact of these kind of events, and especially around detrimental impact which is perceived on certain outstations, i.e. Brook Street, etc., and how we can work together to support those kind of areas as well.
Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the final bullet points of the report, can I ask the General Manager when his considerations on reviewing the public conveniences options are likely to come back to us?
There'll be a meeting of the Public Conveniences Subcommittee, we anticipate, in very early October.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Ewing.
I'd just like to say, with regard to page 3 of the General Manager's report, about the Guildhall refurbishment, that the sentence of preferred tender is RM Builders, and the National Lottery Heritage Fund have approved the council proceeding with their tender, that it is great that it is actually a local Tavistock-based company that has this fantastic job, and all credit to them for putting forward satisfactory, because I never saw the tender, so I wouldn't have a clue, but obviously to beat other companies that may not have been local, to actually have a Tavistock company that is capable of undertaking the Guildhall refurbishment is really, really good news, and good for our local economy because it employs local people.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Yes, I echo that. It works both ways. It's good for the council to be able to look towards local companies for specialist work that's required, but it's also good for local companies to have their connection with local prestigious work, and hopefully by May next year we will have a very fine outcome for both parties.
Thank you. Can I thank the General Manager for the huge amount of work he's done for the value engineering. Councillor Smith and I were both there when the tenders arrived and we opened them, and there was quite a lot of work that needed to be done to get it to the place where it is now. So thank you very much, General Manager. Yeah.
Can I just make the point, reiterate the word preferred tenderer. We've got a pre-start meeting tomorrow just to agree all final contract requirements, and at that point hopefully we'll be in a position to formally let the contract.
Thank you. Okay, right, thank you. We might move on now to the Works Department's report. I draw to your attention there's a cemetery walkabout scheduled for the 23rd of September. Anybody who's never been on one of these, it's well worth going to have a look around the cemetery and see how it operates on a day-to-day basis. I'm afraid I'm going to have to send apologies for that. I'm not available for them. Any questions, comments on that report? No. Thank you. Right, we move on now to the Town Hall of Butchers Hall report. Noted. Thank you. And the Pannier Market report. Thank you. Right, thank you. We now move on to item 9, which is finance and other matters. Little A, to receive the reports to the assistant to the town clerk, which is enclosed. Good number of councillors been on training again, so well done for that. I think we'll probably have a better training record this year than we've had for many a year. Thank you. Any comments, questions? Oh, sorry, yeah, the civic service is on the 29th of September. I hope everybody who's attending has replied to the office. I look forward to seeing you all there then and in the town hall afterwards. Okay, so we note that. Thank you very much. Tavistock Bid Company minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of July. I think they're all fairly self-explanatory. Any comments, questions?
Yes.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, it's just a comment really, following on from the discussion we've just had here about the events that might or might not take place. Item, I think it's 10. I know these minutes were in July. Councillor Williamson's our representative on bid. Has there been another meeting since, which is a further development of the comment made about the Street Food Festival in July. There was supposed to be, according to this, a meeting between Jenna Saunders and Town Clerk.
I can comment on that in outline, if you wish.
Please stand.
Yeah, I attended a meeting with the Works General Manager, I beg your pardon, and the bid manager on the 8th of August, and the comments made by the General Manager have obviously been received and understood from the bid, and it's a question of finessing appropriate events, as the General Manager says, that don't adversely affect traders in the town. I think it's also, of course, a situation where there is no monopoly on a particular trade in town, and if a street fest or street fair or whatever it is happens, on occasions those traders who trade in that particular commodity, whatever it is, might well receive adverse effects. I think it's understood and accepted, and the General Manager's made the point that he's trying with his team to establish a good mix of pop-up events, and it's a question of going ahead on that basis, really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, General Manager.
I think a further point, just as a follow-up to that I'd like to mention is the Town Hall and Events Manager has been in communications with the bid manager as well and passed on all details to the bid manager of how all the shops within town can actually engage with Butchers Hall, the Town Hall or any other events which a Town Council lead on, so that they have the opportunity to trade and support those kind of events as well. There has been an indication that traders were not potentially aware of how to engage with the Town Council on some of these activities. That has been made quite clear now and explicit with the information that's been sent through to bid, and I think that's been now transferred to bid levy payers on how they can engage with the Town Council.
Councillor Parker.
Just a quick question, please. Is it right that we debate these minutes in public, the minutes of another organisation, and they're marked as being in draft, so they're not actually ratified by the parent organisation?
They have been ratified. I think they have. These, surely, Madam Mayor, the July minutes have been ratified at a later meeting.
The version that we have, Madam Mayor, is marked draft.
Councillor Williamson, are you able to comment on that?
Councillor Parker may well be right, I can't say. The bid did not meet formally in August. We met with the manager, as I said, on the 8th of August. Whether he has a point or not, I don't know, but I don't think it's a state secret what the bid is up to, and I sit on that board as a director.
Right, thank you. Town Clerk, could you comment, please?
Yeah, really just to say, these are the minutes that we receive from the bid company. We don't receive a second or another version which indicates that it's in final. They're aware of the fact that we meet in public session. Clearly, if debate were to head into a direction which otherwise would take us into the area where we might need to consider the exclusion of the press and public because it was addressing a confidential or otherwise commercially sensitive matter, that's something we would have to take into account at that stage. These are for information only, not for decision.
Thank you. Okay, so we go to item C, project update to receive any additional oral update in connection with 1, Tavistock Townscape Heritage Initiative Scheme. Town Clerk, please.
Only one update, if I may, in relation to that, and that's I'm pleased to say that the final priority project identified, 81 West Street, the scaffolding is up and work is commencing on that. That suggests that we are on target to complete the THI scheme and the projects which we identified as being deliverable within that scheme by our December deadline, subject only to the extension that's been granted by National Lottery Heritage Fund in relation to the public realm area of the Guildhall car park.
Thank you. Guildhall Gateway Centre projects. You've done that.
I think the Guildhall Gateway Centre project is largely covered in the General Manager's report by way of update. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we move on to item D, which is to receive any update or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies. I'll start on that with Kingdom House. Very pleased to say that we have been successful in the bid. We've put an additional funding application into the Greater Dartmoor Leaf, and we have secured some funding, and that will be to reconfigure the ground floor, and we have found some very exciting new tenants for that area, and things are moving on well there, so that's good news. Anybody else have any other? No? Councillor Mrs Parker?
Yes, Tavistock matters. One of the members of West Devon Borough Council suggested that Tavistock set up its own speedwatch group, like the Dartmoor Speedwatch. And the councillor who suggested it took it on board to circulate round to everybody on that group, asking if anybody was interested, because he can't actually take on the extra work. And I said I was interested, but I felt that the work would need to be shared amongst. There is quite a lot of work in setting up one of those groups and managing it. So I'd like to ask any other councillors if they're interested in setting up a speedwatch for Tavistock Town. It would be more complicated than Dartmoor, but we'd have to work that one out.
Okay, so they should contact you if they're interested.
Yes.
Councillor Mrs Parker. Thank you. Any other updates? Councillor Mann?
I went to the Health and Wellness Alliance meeting today, which was really, really great. They've been working on a wellness project which is around the referral process that was mentioned earlier with West Devon. And there's a lot of really great people there. I know Councillor Ward is our member, but as he wasn't present, I thought I'd just mention one that I met today that was there for the first time, called the Philo Project, or Philo Project. It's a type of daycare where people who are lonely can actually be brought together with a carer who brings them into their own home. And then they do day activities, and have lunch. And it's a really great program, and they're looking for, in particular in Tavistock, to grow the carer population. That person is actually paid. So it would be good for, I'm quite happy to leave this with the town clerk and to pass the information on, so that if anybody knows somebody who would like to host people in their home. It's a really unique project. It's not daycare. You're not caring for them as medically or anything. It's about socialising and having a small socialisation group, and it sounded like a really valuable project for everybody to know about in Tavistock. It's sort of new.
Thank you. Feedback from members following their attendance at any training sessions? No? Members have been on quite a few training sessions, but I think we've all been on them together, just about, haven't we? Item 10, to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the Town Mayor. I just have one thing. The Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service, we asked them to attend the council on 2 occasions, and we haven't had a successful, so they're not available to come to see us. There is their questionnaire, which does need to be completed by the 22nd of September. I've done it as a private individual, but I wonder what members think about the council doing a council response to this questionnaire about the changes with the fire service, which are going to affect our fire station, and that we won't have one appliance available we'll only have one appliance available during the day. Councillor Mrs Ewing.
I think we actually should, as elected representatives of the residents of Tavistock, actually send in, as well as private individuals sending in, but I think, power to the elbow, as they would say, and we should respond as a council. I know Torbay have responded of a council because paint and loss and things.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day with other councillors, and people are saying it's, you know, if we've got more councils actually doing it, it would help.
Thank you. Councillor Parker?
A simple point, please, Madam Mayor. I think the population of Tavistock would be amazed if we didn't, as a council, offer a view.
Right, so how are we going to take this forward? Councillor Mrs Ewing, would you like to lead on it?
You'd like me to lead on it right now, or...?
No, I think you probably need a meeting or councillors who are interested to come together. The questionnaires online, so
Yeah.
you can do it online.
We can just do it from
I would
there.
say it would probably take maximum of an hour and a half.
Right.
Probably not that long.
Okay, so if I ask the town clerk when we can work out when we could have this room or something, and then say anybody who's interested, if they'd like to come along at X time, and then we'll do it together.
Has to be in by the 22nd of September.
Yeah, I'll look at that for next week or
Is that
something.
okay?
Is that okay with most members?
Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Parker?
Some of us will be on holiday next week, I'm afraid. I've done it personally.
Right, thank you for that. Item 11, urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the town. Mayor, I have nothing. Town clerk has nothing. Right, so now if we can move on to item 12, which is exclusion of press and public. So move part 2. So thank you very much to everybody who's come to the meetings.
Volunteer councillors haven't received anything. Councillor Ewing, we didn't receive one.
No report received.
We didn't receive one, so it's not on the agenda.